The mist hung low over Clearwater Lake, curling off the glass-smooth surface as dawn painted the pine trees gold. Ethan Harper sat on his weathered dock, his grandfather's cherrywood fishing rod balanced in his hands, the tackle box at his feet a neat archive of laws and memories. This cabin, a family heirloom since 1987, was his sanctuary slice of peace carved from a world of noise. The lake's stillness, broken only by the chirp of birds and the gentle lap of water, felt like a promise kept. Ethan, a methodical man hardened by years of navigating corporate politics, savored these mornings. But the sharp clip of heels on gravel shattered the calm, heralding trouble. Margaret Ellison, the newly minted HOA president of Clearwater Shores, stormed down the path, her navy blazer crisp and her orange clipboard a weapon of bureaucracy. Her expression was all business, her eyes cold with purpose. "Mr. Harper," she barked, voice dripping with condescension, "per HOA Resolution 12C, this lakefront is community property. Pack up and leave now." She brandished her clipboard like a judge's gavel. Ethan, unfazed, kept his gaze on the water. "I'm staying," he said, voice steady as the lake. Margaret's face flushed, her composure cracking. "You're trespassing," she snapped. "Every inch of this shore falls under HOA control. I've done my research. Leave, or I'll have you removed." Ethan glanced at a sealed envelope on his tackle box, labeled Clearwater Critical in his grandfather's scrawl. It felt heavier now. "You might want to double-check your facts, ma'am," he said, reeling in his line. Margaret scoffed, dialing her phone with theatrical flair. "I'm calling 911 to have you arrested for trespassing," she declared, glaring as if he'd already been convicted. As she ranted to the dispatcher, old Gus, a lake veteran of 40 years, shuffled by on his morning walk. Catching Ethan's eye, he muttered, "She's picking a fight she can't win, kid." Margaret spun, but Gus just whistled away, his grin defiant. She misread it, smacking. "Even your neighbors know you're out of line." Ethan stood, setting his rod aside. "This cabin's been ours for decades. I suggest you review the property records." He pocketed the envelope, noting a rusted boundary marker half buried in the weeds. Margaret stormed off, vowing to return with proper documentation. Ethan watched her go, the lake's calm belying the storm brewing. 2 days later, she was back, armed with a thick folder and a $2,000 fine for violating community standards, plus a 24-hour eviction notice. The paperwork was meticulous, citing bylaws with official letterhead. Ethan scanned it, impressed by the effort but unmoved. "Nice work," he said, "but I'm having my attorney review this." Margaret's eyes widened. "Legal threats won't save you," she hissed, pacing his dock. "I know people, too. You're no match for the HOA." She dialed the police again, her voice shrill as she reported a trespasser threatening the community. Ethan kept fishing, his calm infuriating her further. Sirens announced the cops' arrival. Margaret rushed to meet them, pointing at Ethan. "That's the squatter." 2 officers approached, looking weary. "Sir, we've got a trespassing complaint," the taller one, Officer Daniels, said. Ethan smiled. "Beautiful day for fishing, isn't it?" He handed over the envelope, breaking its seal. Inside was the 1987 deed, paired with a note from his grandfather. "This lakefront is exempt from all HOA agreements, with full riparian rights." The sergeant, Officer Ruiz, studied the documents, then checked the boundary marker. "Ma'am," she said to Margaret, "this man owns this property outright. Your report is baseless." Margaret's face cycled through shock and rage. "Impossible. I checked every record." Ruiz's tone hardened. "Filing false reports is serious. Verify your facts next time." The officers left, advising Margaret to back off. She stood frozen, then muttered, "This isn't over," before retreating. Ethan cast his line again, the lake surface hiding the depth of her miscalculation. Margaret didn't quit. Over the next week, petty attacks began, fishing lines cut overnight, soap suds clouding the lake near his dock, trash cans rearranged. Ethan, ever methodical, installed discreet security cameras, capturing Margaret and her allies. Local busybodies roped into her vendetta, vandalizing his property under cover of darkness. Online, she launched a smear campaign via concerned Clearwater residents, posting distorted photos of his cabin and lies about wild parties and pollution. She even faked accounts, including one mimicking Gus, claiming Ethan was a menace. When Gus heard, he stormed over, livid. "Using my name? She's gone too far." Ethan showed him the footage. "She's desperate," he said. "Desperate people make mistakes." Margaret escalated, presenting a petition signed by 12 residents demanding Ethan's removal for community safety. The signatures were shaky, some from strangers, others coerced. Ethan called his lawyer, Sarah, who'd helped his grandfather secure the lake properties. "Prepare the Clearwater files," he told her, loud enough for Margaret to hear. Her bravado faltered. "More legal games," she sneered, but her voice betrayed nerves. Ethan smiled. "Just handling business." The files weren't about lawsuit, they revealed a truth Margaret couldn't fathom. That Thursday, Margaret called an emergency HOA meeting, labeling it a community safety crisis, to oust Ethan. The community center buzzed with 60 residents, a PowerPoint decrying Ethan's antisocial behavior. Ethan arrived late, in a suit, carrying a leather briefcase. Margaret pointed, "There's the trespasser," but the crowd's mood was curious, not hostile. "You have no right here," she shouted. Gus chuckled. "Let him speak, Margaret. This is America." Ethan opened his briefcase, unfurling a survey map. "Margaret's researched Pine Lakes properties," he said, but she missed something. The map showed 80% of Clearwater shores in blue, owned by Harper Holdings LLC, Ethan's company. His cabin, the community center, and most homes sat on his land, leased to residents. "You're my tenants," he said, producing notarized deeds. The room erupted. "My lease says Harper Properties," one resident shouted. Others scrambled, confirming their agreements. Margaret's face drained of color. "Impossible," she whispered. Ethan pointed to her lot. "Your lease expires in 14 months. I review renewals based on community harmony." The threat was clear, her power shattered. Residents turned on Margaret, her bullying exposed. Gus's laughter broke the tension, "Told you she picked the wrong fight." The meeting dissolved in chaos, neighbors demanding answers. Margaret's social media rants followed, painting Ethan as a predatory landlord. But her lies unraveled. Residents discovered their leases were generous, with Ethan subsidizing utilities 40% below market rates. Her calls to news outlets flopped, reporters dismissed her baseless claims. Her appearance crumbled, unkempt hair, wrinkled clothes, a wild look in her eyes. Gus shared her backstory. Childhood evictions had fueled her obsession with control, making her terrorize others to feel secure. Ethan pitied her, but her actions demanded consequences. Her desperation peaked one Sunday evening. Drunk and disheveled, Margaret staggered to Ethan's dock, slurring, "You think you've won? I'll burn this place down." Gus appeared, urging her to leave. "You're scaring folks," he said. Tears streaming, she sobbed, "This is all I have." Ethan saw not a villain but a broken woman, her identity tied to a control she'd lost. Pete warned, "She's dangerous now." At 2 a.m. Tuesday, Ethan's security alarms blared. Cameras caught Margaret with a gas can, creeping toward his dock, eyeing his grandfather's ruder cherished relic. Heart pounding, Ethan called the sheriff. "Intruder attempting arson," he reported. Police arrived in 4 minutes, catching Margaret, reeking of gasoline, near the dock. "He's stealing our homes," she screamed as they cuffed her, her lighter confiscated before disaster struck. At trial, Margaret's lawyer claimed temporary insanity, citing eviction fears. But her 2-hour rant on the stand defending her community protection and justifying arson sank her. Ethan's lawyer revealed a final bombshell: Ethan owned Clearwater Utilities, subsidizing residents' bills. Margaret's outburst, "He can't own everything," prompted her removal from the courtroom. The jury convicted her in 23 minutes, 18 months probation, 200 hours of shoreline cleanup, anger management, a 500-foot restraining order, and restitution. Ethan declined to disconnect her utilities or end her lease, stating, "Everyone deserves housing security." His mercy enraged her more than punishment. During her community service, Margaret, in an orange vest, cleaned the shoreline under Ethan's watchful eye. He waved politely, fishing with his grandfather's rod, her resentment palpable but impotent. The lake's atmosphere transformed. Neighbors walked freely, kids fished, and apologies poured in for enabling Margaret's reign. Gus joined Ethan weekly, their coffee-fueled chats a new ritual. "Best show in years," Gus grinned, watching Margaret toil. Property values rose 15% as Ethan's upgrades, new wiring, better water systems took effect. Margaret's labor polished the lake, and by month 6, she volunteered for cleanups, her fury dulled by routine. Her counselor hinted at progress, tying her behavior to childhood trauma. On her final service day, Ethan crossed the 500-foot line. "Margaret, the lakes never looked better." "Thank you." She stared, searching for mockery, but found sincerity. That evening, as the sunset bathed Clearwater Lake in crimson, Ethan cast his line, the rod gleaming. His grandfather's words echoed, "Patience wins the best bites." When someone tries to steal your spot, show them who owns the lake. Ethan had defended his peace, not with vengeance, but with truth, turning Margaret's crusade into a lesson for all. The lake, serene and unyielding, mirrored his Victoria quiet triumph where justice, like water, found its course.